Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, and from LJ Cooper's Wealth Advisors, I've got Craig Rollins here on set. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, nice to be here, Joe.
Well, I'm just happy to have you here, sir.
And
really excited to talk more about money. That's something that we've been talking about a little bit today, and it's always, I think, probably one of my favorite topics. So
it seems to be a lot of people's favorite topic.
Yeah, right. Especially when we've had a few years where people haven't exactly had the kind of money that they want to have.
Right.
So, but you know what I always say? If you really want to know if you turned a corner when it comes to this, ask the people that are out there doing the job every day.
Right.
And there's no doubt that we've turned the corner.
We have. I mean, the economy is definitely getting stronger. We're seeing, and of course, Utah, you know, talk about weathering the storm. I think Utah more than, well, absolutely more than any other state, was able to handle the downturn much better. And we've seen a robust economy in the last couple of years, and we've gotten stronger and stronger. So it's been, all the economic data is showing very favorable. And
LJ Cooper Wealth Advisors has managed to weather it pretty well too, especially considering some of the stuff you were in, a lot of people didn't do too well in, right?
You know, it was amazing. We would have our clients come in and say, well, why haven't we lost all of our account like we're hearing from our friends? And we said, well, we're pretty conservative. I mean, we did see a downturn just like everybody else did, and it was unavoidable. But a lot of our clients, we just said, well, tell your friends that lost all their money that maybe they should be talking to us. And we've actually been able to see a very good turnaround, and like I said, just didn't take the hit.
Give us a little bit of background about LJ Cooper and where it came from and where you're headed.
Yeah, well, we started in 2000, so this next year will be our 15th year. We had several partners, and from very varied backgrounds. We have a partner that's very tax-centric, does a lot of tax incentivized investing. We've got one of my partners very analytical. I tend to lean more towards real estate and alternative investments. Started from just 3 or 4 of us, I think, 4 or 5 of us, I can't remember, and then now we've got 25 people in our headquarters here in Orem, and we've got offices in Colorado and Florida. So we've grown quite a bit.
And a big part of that is just picking the right individuals. That's an investment in and of itself, picking the right people to work alongside you. Oh,
absolutely. We've really gotten involved with the personal financial planning degree at Utah Valley University.
Yeah, what in the top tier?
Top 10, yeah, it's one of the top 10 in the country now. It's only, I think, 4 or 5 years into the program. We've been involved from almost day one, helped with the curriculum, and a lot of our guys that we're now hiring come directly from that program, and we've just been very impressed with them.
Wow, that's excellent. Now, one of the things I want to talk about right out of the gate, because I'm starting to look at it a little bit myself as I get a little older, and I know there's certainly a lot of our viewers are in the same situation. It's retirement.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about what we should be thinking about right now for that.
You know, I get asked that a lot. I got interviewed by online publication here a while ago, and they said, what's the biggest mistake that people make with retirement planning? And I said, number one, that they fail to do it completely. They wait. They think, if I wait long enough, I get out of debt, then I'll start saving.
Yeah,
and you never make that time up. So I, regardless of the amount that people are putting away, or if they're not putting anything away, start with something. I don't care if it's $25, $50 a month. Get into the habit of setting money aside for your future.
Yeah, time value of money, the time part of it is the most important element.
Absolutely. You've got to have the time. Yeah, not the amount. The amount becomes more important if you wait too long. Then all of a sudden the amount becomes predominant.
Yeah, and I mean, some of these things that I've heard from other investors, they're scary. You know, they say to me, well, look, you know, if you're into your 40s and you haven't done it, and there's so many people who haven't, you're going to have to set aside $2 grand a month, or more, and to just have a decent retirement, and you're probably even going to then still have to tap into your home possibly.
Oh yeah, and we see that quite often, and it's frustrating as a financial advisor, because we can save people so much hassle if they get on board with us early.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the running joke is, well, if I had wealth to manage, ha ha ha. I'm like going, no, that's why you hire us, so that you can have wealth to manage. I mean, that's our job.
Let's talk about that. What is the evidence-based side of this? This is a new term that I haven't heard thrown around too often.
It's a term that's kind of coming into its own. There's the active way of investing, active and passive. We're definitely more passive, but passive kind of throws off the wrong thing. We're not doing nothing. We're not doing anything. So the industry is trying to turn to evidence-based investing as a way to explain a strategic passive allocation. So we like to have a global representation of the economy. So, like right now, as we were talking earlier, the U.S. economy is about 52 to 55% of the global economy. So evidence-based investing says, all right, what is the global economy looking like? How should we be allocating to give our clients the best possible return with the least amount of risk? Because there's always going to be some risk in any investment, but how do we minimize some of that risk? And so we've turned to that evidence-based investing model, which allows us to be a lot more strategic.
And as you mentioned, when you think of it globally, we shouldn't be afraid of globally investing, right?
Oh,
we
absolutely
start looking
not.
at some of those international investments that have,
Right.
sure, some high risk, but really high reward too. And if you balance things, you
Right.
can make some money there.
Right. I mean, it's we look at stuff like that all the time. Is how much of emerging markets or emerging countries should be a part of our overall economic investment platform, and we're finding that changes. And there are countries that are doing extremely well. They're like the Brazil, India, China, the BRIC.
Right.
There are areas in India that are brand new markets that have never been tapped, and there's anywhere from 200 to 500,000 people living in those communities that are hungry for product. So when the companies find these areas and find these kind of burgeoning new economic hotspots, they take advantage. Well, you won't find that in the U.S. as much as you'll find that in other countries. So smart investing will take advantage of those new areas, whether it's emerging markets or international growth companies or whatever it may be. They're out there and they're available, and so we just like to incorporate that in the portfolio.
There must be a lot going on in the corporate real estate side of that when you talk about some of these big countries that are finally starting to kind of build into that that other part of the economy of business, big business. There's got to be some work for you there.
There's a lot of right now. We're seeing a lot of real estate development and things going on in a number of countries that haven't been there before. Obviously, the thing you have to always be concerned about in real estate investing in some countries is they have a tendency to cut corners, and that's why we've seen
get things done on time.
And we've seen some buildings collapse in some of the parts of the world. So you have to be careful about how you're investing in real estate, which again means the bigger the portfolio, the more that you can mitigate some of the risk of that international investing. So you want to look for companies that are doing things the right way, and we spend a lot of time making sure that we find those good companies.
Yeah, it's always good if you can find a good American company that's working in some of those countries. That's a good place to go.
That's a safer bet.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so let's talk about what some of the mistakes that people make. You mentioned a couple right there, but what are some of the mistakes people are making as they're looking towards retirement, if they're looking towards investing in general? What do they do wrong?
A lot of people will set unrealistic goals for themselves. I want to have X number of dollars when I'm 50, 55, 60, whatever it may be. And when they realize they're not going to get there, they either shut down or just quit investing altogether, or they get too aggressive. And that's one of the things that we see a lot with clients, is that they think they've got to make it all up in 1 year. So they're looking for very aggressive investments, and they're risking too much as opposed to taking a more steady, consistent path. And again, we consider ourselves fairly conservative. We're kind of that, the tortoise and the hare. We're definitely more of the tortoise. We're going to get those returns on a regular basis over a long period of time versus trying to do it all in 1 year. And that's a big mistake that we see people make, is they get too aggressive.
Well, there's so much of a desire to make up for lost time, right?
Make up for
that's
lost
what
time.
we really see a lot of people doing. So when you talk about people who are coming to you typically, who are you seeing? What's the typical client that's coming in the door?
Our average client typically is between 50 and 65. That's a very common client for us. They come in saying, I need help with my retirement. I'm getting close to retirement, or they're near to end retirement. We see a lot of those types of clients. We're starting to see a lot of 30-somethings that are realizing that mom and dad didn't do well in retirement planning, and they don't want to make that mistake. So we're seeing a lot of 30-somethings looking for financial advice, financial help, and we're really encouraged by that.
Yeah, when you get that younger group, there's so much you can do, and you still can retire with millions, even on a small budget if you start at that 20 to 30 range.
We see teachers that don't make very much money that retire with 7 figures, because they've been consistent with the way they've saved over their lifetime. So the earlier they start, the better off they are.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this part of it too. I think this is important. When you start thinking about the investments, you start thinking about the taxes and the things that are going to come along with that. And there's some that are obviously great tax shelters for now that you pay a little later, and vice versa. What are some of your thoughts on taxes and how you should mitigate these costs?
We try to take kind of a three-pronged approach. So there's taxable accounts, there's tax-deferred accounts, and then there's tax-free. And those accounts, we like to use all of those accounts for our clients, because we look at, yes, there are taxes that are owed today, Do we think taxes are going to go up or down in the future?
Well, I bet they're probably going to go up.
Considering that they've never gone down, I would agree with you. So we try to look at the tax today accounts, tax deferred accounts that will be taxed at some point in time in the future, and then the tax free accounts that technically right now aren't taxable.
Right.
We don't know
hope it remains
we
so.
hope it remains that way, but we try
Right.
to take that approach to use various types of tax incentivized or tax deferred accounts to give our clients a level playing field, because we don't know what taxes are going to do in the future, other than probably go up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when people want to get started, because I know there's people who haven't get started, or there's somebody who's got a portfolio that just needs some serious help, and then we've got those other folks who they're young and they're thinking, well, I like going to Starbucks every day, and you're thinking, hey, that Starbucks every day that means millions later.
It can.
Yeah. So what do we say to these people? How do they get? What's the first step for each of them individually?
Honestly, I think just start saving something.
Okay.
Even if it's $25 a month. I mean,
Okay.
get in the habit of saving something, and it gets easier. I mean, I've had clients that when they're 20s and they came in and their dad was great to help them get started in saving anything.
Smart, yeah.
And now they've gotten bit by the bug, and they're finding that I can still get that Starbucks if I want it, but I'm going to choose not to today.
Yeah.
They've started looking at the world in a little different way. If you like Starbucks, get the Starbucks.
Yeah.
But
enjoy your life.
Enjoy
We're
your
not saying
life.
you shouldn't do that.
You shouldn't live in a box. Don't
Right.
live in a box. Part of life is enjoying the journey too. But just get in the habit of putting something away, and you'll find that you really don't miss that $25.
Exactly.
And then it's 50. Then it can be 100. Just get into the habit. Start someplace.
I always say the ideal is to take it out of that check before you even cash it, right? If you get one of those ones where it's allocating some money, if you've got that opportunity at work, that's a great thing, because you never know it was there.
Yeah.
And you learn to live without it.
And it happens all the time. And it's amazing how much less we can live on when we do that.
Absolutely.
It's almost like tricking yourself.
But I sure like living with a lot when I'm older, and that's what you guys are all about. Where do people get in touch with you?
You can reach us at ljcooper.com, or you can call our office 801-221-2939.
Craig Rollins, sure appreciate you being here.
Joe, always a pleasure.
Yeah, great information right there.
Thank you.
All right, well, when we come back, apparently we have baby snakes, which means I'm leaving the set with no intentions of returning until tomorrow. So we will see you right after this quick commercial break.